Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Strange, Dark, and Related podcast. I am your host, Elfie, and with me are the Relateds. So, as always, we will get started with our question of the day. So, question is, what is one food you can eat any time of the day? So I'll go first. As I said, my name is Elfie, and the one food that I can eat any time of the day, I guess it would be pizza. Because, I mean, who doesn't love a good breakfast pizza? Or, pizza snack. I mean, oh man, yeah. What about like pizza bites? Yeah, I like pizza. All right, next person.
So I picked the same thing because I picked pizza. Oh, this is Willow. I also picked pizza because growing up, my mom used to make like pizza on toast. So she'd make like bread and then put in the toaster oven with a little bit of tomato sauce and then a slice of cheese and then Italian herbs on top. And then she toast it up. And then there's also like pizza bites and pizza bagels. And like cold pizza in the morning from the night before, and then just like pizza in general. Yeah, it's just really good. Yeah, pizza. Now I want pizza.
Me too.
So I also want pizza, but I chose something different from you all. And that thing is eggs.
Do you eat eggs at any time?
Yeah.
I guess that's true. I mean, I could eat a good deviled egg any time of day.
Yeah, deviled eggs, scrambled eggs.
I changed my answer.
Or like an egg salad.
Yeah, egg sandwich.
Oh, egg sandwich.
Yeah. And then there's like, I think the deviled eggs. And then there's like just so many different types of eggs.
You're right. Good one.
I changed my answer. Potatoes. Because you can do like...
I didn't see it going that way.
Yeah, me either.
Because you can do hash browns, you can do mashed potatoes.
Ooh,
you can do
browns.
Roasted potatoes. You can do scalloped potatoes. You can do a baked potato. There's all sorts of things you can do with a potato.
You can do like a fried potato.
Yeah, like a croquette.
Like French fries. Oh, I was thinking like French fries. But yeah, that too.
I would say probably potatoes.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm getting hungry.
I was like, I liked how Willow was just like, yes. I think I'm gonna change my answer. Levi's answer was pretty good. I think I'm gonna change it
to something totally different.
Oh, good times.
All right, Levi, do you want to say your little speech about?
Do you have something to tell our viewers?
Be sure to like and subscribe if you like these little scary stories we're about to do. And be sure to comment down below if you have any of your own stories or have requests about what you guys wish for us to do, and we'll put it in our little schedule thing.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Levi, for that reminder to all of our listeners. So let's jump into today's episode. Like Levi said, we do have some creepy stories today. Well, not stories, but I guess topics. So our topic for today is actually twofold. So we will be talking about the Winchester Mystery House, which is in San Jose, California, and then the Toys R Us Ghost, which is in Sunnyvale, California. So both in the Silicon Valley. So let's start off by talking about the Winchester Mystery House. Like I mentioned, it is, I mean, I don't even think house is the right word for it. It's more like a mansion in San Jose. And it was once the personal residence of Sarah Winchester. So she is, or was, she's passed already, the widow of William Wirt Winchester, and Winchester as in the firearm. So yeah, it's an interesting like place to go. And just to start off, Levi and Willow, have either of you ever been to the Winchester Mystery House?
Yes.
Also, yes, I have been to the Winchester Mystery House. I did a Halloween tour, a nighttime Halloween tour, actually. And I wish we could have seen more of the mansion.
Yeah, so they say that the mansion may have been haunted because Sarah Winchester would she had said that there were these ghosts or these spirits that were telling her that she had to constantly be building this house and renovating and making it bigger and better up until the day that she died. And so the house was never finished because it was just constantly under construction. So there's the theory that the mansion itself is still haunted. However, when I went there, I think Willow, we both went there together. I can't remember now. Yeah. So
yeah, we did.
So when we went, I personally didn't feel like it was haunted. I think the creepiest part was like just like the house itself was like really kind of odd and creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with your assessment. The house felt totally fine to me. It felt safe. It felt like almost warm. You know what I mean? And I feel like it was more of, I don't want to open a door and fall out of the second story building, like second story floor, because there's like doors that go to nowhere, doors that like open up to the outside, stairs that go to the roof and like end at the ceiling, right? So it's more of that sort of thing. Like if I was wandering this house by myself, I would be more concerned of getting into a situation that I wouldn't be able to get out of or like find my way back to where I need to be. But in terms of like paranormal activity, it felt fine. Like it just felt like a normal house to me.
Yeah. Well, I went there on a school trip and I felt nothing like you guys did. I just felt like, oh, this is a cool place. And then they lead us into a room with a singular mirror. All right. Well, this is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And weird. Are we? Is this like a cult thing? Like, what's going on? And then the mirror turns out to be a TV, and we're like, okay. Yeah, it kind of lost all its scariness when we officially went inside and was like, well, this has lowered my expectations a bit to any type of haunted thing. So yeah. But like I've heard the stories about why. And I think the reason why it's such a warm presence is because when Sarah Lockwood, Hood Winchester, I'll just call her Miss Winchester. Mrs. Winchester. Mrs. Winchester listened to spirits and continued making the house until her death. And I think that's why it's such a warm and easy present, because she actually listened to the spirits, and followed what they did, so they were not angry at her when she passed on.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's an interesting thought, Levi. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. I just, yeah. I also hadn't realized that she got the house after her husband had passed. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I thought that they had it and then she built onto it after, but I didn't realize that she had bought it after his passing. And the amount of acreage that the original property was insane. It was like over 400, I believe.
Yeah, it was. I don't think I noted down how big it was, but yeah, you're right. It was like a huge, like amount of property. Now it's been reduced.
Sorry. It was 162 acres at one time, and now it's 4.5 acres.
Yeah, now it's only 4.5 acres, which 162 acres, that is massive. So the crazy thing is that after her husband died, she inherited more than $20.5 million, which in today's, like, in terms of like today's money, it would be worth about $550 million, which I'm like, wow, like,
yeah, $500 million.
You definitely like married rich. And she received nearly 50% ownership of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. So that gave her an income of about $1,000 a day. And then today that would be equivalent to about $27,000 a day. So you can definitely see how she was able to keep up construction on a daily, like on a constant basis, because she had so much income. But yeah, I'm wondering like how big, like I'm wondering if she like was going to continue like going up, right, making it taller, or would she have expanded out more?
Yeah, I don't know, because I think it was
like so much land.
Yeah, no, it's true, because originally I had read that it was 7 stories, and then after the earthquake it was reduced to 4 due to like structural things, right?
So just explain what you mean by the earthquake, because I don't think, in case people don't know what earthquake you're referring to.
In 1906 there was a big earthquake in San Francisco, caused a lot of havoc, and I forget how long that earthquake was. I forget if that was the 92nd one or not, but basically a lot of San Francisco burned down as a result of this earthquake, and it caused a lot of destruction. For anyone that doesn't know, there is 2 big fault lines that run through California, and especially the San Francisco Bay Area. So San Jose is about 45 minutes south of San Francisco. And that's where the Winchester Mystery House is. So there was a big earthquake in San Francisco, and it looks like it impacted the Winchester house, causing damage to it, which kind of gives you an idea of like how bad it was in San Francisco. So if it was like 45 miles away. So yeah, and originally it was a 7-story building. Now currently it is a 4-story building. So there were a lot of changes that had to happen to make it structurally sound again.
Yeah, and what was interesting actually is that they say that it was noted that the house itself was built using what's called floating foundation, and they believe that that is what saved it from totally collapsing, and that's why it didn't completely collapse in the 1906 earthquake, and then again in the 1989 earthquake. So for those of you who don't know, like a floating foundation, what it says on the website, so if it's wrong, I apologize, but it says that the floating foundation is a type of construction which allows the home to shift freely, so it's not completely attached to a brick base.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of what current buildings use to allow for the ground to shake around it. Like I know there's a few buildings that I have seen. I've been able to actually see underneath one of the buildings, a building that I worked at, and it's able to move 3 feet in any direction. Mm-hmm. So the ground can move 3 feet in any direction while the building stays secure. And it's kind of crazy because going through the building with some of the facilities engineers, they showed me places like you don't want to be in this, like if an earthquake hits, you don't want to be here because this is where the building will break apart from other buildings in the shifting. Mm-hmm. So they build this into a lot of engineering buildings, into a lot of new buildings now in California, which is really cool to see. And it was ahead of, like, I feel like it's ahead of its time back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that stuff's so interesting. But yeah, so like you said, it's only 4 stories now. And
so speaking of the earthquake, so recently in the last few years, I want to say 2015, 2016, there was a new room found in the Winchester Mystery House. And
like they didn't know it was there before?
Yeah, she had boarded it up after that earthquake because she was trapped in that room when it happened. And she thought that evil spirits had been responsible for the quake.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so a preservation team found a number of things in the room, including a pump organ, a Victorian couch, a dress form, paintings, a sewing machine. And so this means now that there have been 161 rooms found in this mansion. And yeah, so it's kind of crazy. It has 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 47 fireplaces, 40 staircases, 13 bathrooms, and 9 kitchens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And to think that like this house has been around for so long and they're still finding new spaces in this building.
Yeah. Which is wild. The cool thing is too, like when you drive past it or when you go to it, it doesn't really like look that big. But like when I was reading about it, there's 40 bedrooms. I never, like, just looking at it, I never would have guessed there's 40 bedrooms in that house.
No, there's no way. But if you look at aerial shots of it, so if you go into like Google Maps and look, or like Google Earth, and you look at aerial shots, you realize how big the footprint is of this house, which is insane.
Like,
go ahead, Levi.
You just pass it and it's like, oh yeah, that's the house. It doesn't seem very big. And then when you go to explore it, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
What is this place?
I almost want to get a job there just so I can like explore it. Levi, that should be your first job. You should go work at the Winchester.
No, I don't want to get haunted by the spirits. And
Levi's like, no, you go get haunted.
That way we can go in and do like a behind the scenes tour.
The neat thing is that when we did the tour, what I really liked was that the steps weren't really high. They were like really like flat. And I guess she had done that purposely because she had arthritis. So they put in like really like, I guess, I don't know if shallow is the right word, but like steps that didn't require her to take like very big steps. And as a short person, I greatly appreciated that.
Oh my God. Yes. It made it so easy to walk up and down the stairs. Yeah. It was not exhausting whatsoever with all of the walking that we did on that tour. It was fine.
Imagine a bunch of little children walking up steep stairs. Yeah, that's not, no. So it was really easy for us.
Yeah. And some of them, like you mentioned, Levi, some of them were very steep stairs. And they were short, so literally you could just like with your toes, just like walk up essentially on your toes. And I feel like she was short too, right?
I think she was. I don't remember how tall she was, but I'm fairly certain, if I remember correctly from the tour, she was short. Yeah. It's a very, like, the home itself is very interesting, and then just knowing the history behind it. And like Sarah Winchester herself, like she was just she was a very
interesting person.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if quirky is the right word, but yeah, she's just very interesting. Her life is very interesting.
I found it. She was 4'10" and 95 pounds.
Yeah. So she was really small.
Yeah.
I would know because I'm 5 feet tall. So I appreciated her steps. I was like, girl, you know me.
I know. So I didn't realize that was something that you could do. And I feel like in future houses, so there's a couple things I'm going to do to my future home when I build it. I'm going to have stairs like that. And I'm also going to lower my counters because
it's true.
I just want to lower them an inch, so that way, like, chopping is so much easier.
Yeah, instead of just like
up here chopping like near my face.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're just like trying not to cut your eyebrow off.
Yeah, because I've been to other countries where the counters are shorter, and the ease that I was able to chop vegetables and chop things and like cook in the kitchen blew my mind. I didn't realize how much harder it was to be able to get the correct leverage because the counters are just a little too tall for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she definitely, inspires me for my future home.
Nice. She's a home design inspiration.
Yeah, she is. And I want doors going to nowhere. Windows into rooms.
Oh no, we lost Levi. I think she might have accidentally hung herself up. So one thing that was interesting is that, hey Levi, you're back.
Yes. I was saying before this, I would love just like just 0 doors in the house, just windows. Windows with locks on them.
Interesting.
That would be an interesting design choice.
Well, you want privacy, just like curtain.
It's a lot of curtains.
Mm-hmm.
So there was actually some very interesting things about this house. She was very ahead of her time in some respects. So some things that they noted was that there was steam and forced air heating, which I was like, oh, wow. Like that must have been amazing during the winter.
Yeah.
She had modern indoor toilets and plumbing.
And hot water that came into her shower.
Yeah.
In
she
the
had
800s.
Yeah, she had push button gas lights. In her own personal bathroom, she had the hot shower, like you mentioned. She had an Otis electric elevator, and it was powered by a rare horizontal hydraulic elevator piston. So most elevator pistons are vertical in order to save space, but Sarah Winchester preferred the improved functionality of the horizontal configuration, which I don't know that much about elevators, but that sounds like
I actually don't either,
better.
but I do work with elevators. So now I'm going to go ask the elevator company that I work with about horizontal versus vertical hydraulic elevator.
And then you're going to you need to find the tech that's really passionate about elevators. He'd be like, it's interesting. Did you know?
I know, I do. I need
Those
to talk
are the
to some of our
best.
techs. But the other interesting thing is the Otis Elevator Company is still around today.
Mm-hmm.
And I do work with them. So
you should go ask them about Sarah Winchester's house.
Yeah, I should. Say like, did you know? Yeah, but when I saw that was kind of crazy, and I did want to go talk to the elevator techs that I work with to find out about like the difference between like a horizontal versus a vertical hydro. And well, I'm not going to get into everything I know about elevators, but yes, it is very interesting, and I didn't know that there was different types of things like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to shift over now. We can definitely talk more about Sarah Winchester if we'd like. But
wait.
Yes.
Before we say anything, before we continue, I would just like to state that there were 13 bathrooms, windows with 13 panes, doors with 13 panels, flights of stairs with 13 steps, 13 couples on the top of the greenhouse, and she had drains in the sinks custom made with 13 holes.
So 13 was
obsessed with the number 13. I think if she lived a lot longer, I feel like there would be 13 flights of stairs.
You know what? You could be right.
And 13 stories.
Yeah, 13 stories. That would have been a trip, having a 13-story mansion.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
And 13 acres.
Yeah, I didn't
living.
Yeah, I didn't realize that 13 was so prevalent in the building.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now, let's move on.
Okay. So, just, so that we can fit everything in an appropriate amount of time, let's move on to our other haunted area in the Silicon Valley. The Toys R Us ghost. So I don't know how I knew about this because I grew up in this area, but I don't know if many people know about the Toys R Us ghost. Sadly, Toys R Us is, of course, as everyone knows, gone. It's no longer a thing. But when Toys R Us was still, kicking it as a company.
Do you want to explain what Toys R Us is?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what Toys R Us is, Toys R Us was RIP, was a company that sold toys, board games, video games, video consoles, basically anything that a child might play with. Like, that's what they had. They had those really cool like Hot Wheels cars. They bikes. They sold bikes.
Literally anything. Yeah.
Literally like any toy you may want, like they had it. Very, very cool place to go as a kid. Not so much as an adult.
hence the name Toys R Us.
Yeah. But there was a building in Sunnyvale. And for those of you that don't know the history of Sunnyvale, it was like this whole area used to be like farming before it became the Silicon Valley that it is today. So where this building was built, it did used to be cherry orchards. And it is believed that there is a ghost that worked those lands that haunts that building. That building is still there. After Toys R Us went out of business, it did turn into a spirit store during like Halloween season, which is kind of funny. It's like very fitting. But now it is an REI.
It was empty for years.
It was empty for a really long time. Yeah.
Because REI just opened this year or end of last year?
Like, I think it was this year.
Yeah.
Like, so it was very recently.
So it was sitting empty since Toys R Us went out of business.
Which was pre-pandemic, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Levi.
But if you want to know more about the Toys R Us ghosts, other than what we say here, they literally made a television... It made its way into a television show called That's Incredible.
That's incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it really is incredible.
It was interesting. And so I personally heard, because growing up in this area, of course, like you hear things like kids talk, and of course everyone talks about like what's haunted and everything, especially when you're like in school. And one of the stories that I had heard was that while they were building, they were doing construction on this building for the Toys R Us, the construction workers like hated working there. They would not work by themselves. They hated working there at night because there would be some really weird things that would happen. And one of the stories was this construction worker was like working around some like shelving that already had like toys up. I guess they were just finishing up construction. And there was this like stuffed animal or something. I can't remember what it was. But he swore like it would move. Every time he'd turn away, it would move. And it wouldn't just move like its arm, like it would move location. So it'd be on like one shelf 1 second, he'd turn around and then it'd be on a different shelf. And then he would turn around again and then it'd be on another shelf. And so it was constantly moving. And he said that what freaked him out the most was that one time, like he saw it move across, like it just flew across to another shelf. And he was like, hey, don't do that. Like stop moving. And then the toy spoke back and said, no. And that he was just like, I'm never working here again. I don't know how true that is, but that was like one of my favorite stories that I heard.
Oh, I'm like, it responded. It didn't want to stop moving.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, just so you know.
No, so I know that there was a lot, because I think it was built, I didn't write down when it was built. I think it was built in the 70s. And Sylvia Browne did multiple seances there. And there are pictures, you can go check them out online, of what like Johnny Johnson is what she said the name of the ghost was. What he, like, you can see him outside of the seance circle, like just standing right beyond, like just outside of the circle, like leaning against a shelf. there were a lot of people, there's a lot of articles, and there's like an Unsolved Mysteries episode that they did on it. Like Levi mentioned, That's Incredible also did an episode on it. And yeah, and it is kind of funny looking back because it is obviously very sensationalized. I can't say that word. And it very obviously is trying to make you scared of like what is happening in this building. So I also read articles about interviewing the different people that worked there, and a lot of them are like, I don't believe, but there is like creepy things that happen, and how like the women's restroom, the faucets would turn on by themselves. Yeah. And also keep in mind that this is pre-automatic anything. So you had to physically turn on and off the water for it to actually work. So the fact that these were turning on and off by themselves is very unusual and like shouldn't be happening. Yeah.
I saw those in the garage and they go, well, they're here. And they go, well, these are torn too.
Yeah, it was. So what you said about the women's restroom, I did hear about that. And I remember I was like so freaked out about that. I had never used the restroom there, not because like I was scared or anything, but it was because like I never had a need to use the restroom when I went to Toys R Us.
Which
like,
is very odd for us.
Yeah.
We always had to go to the bathroom everywhere we went.
Yeah. So, but for whatever reason, like I just never did at Toys R Us. And then when I heard that story that like the bathroom was haunted, I was like, well, now I'm definitely not going to the bathroom in Toys R Us. Yeah. Heck no. Yeah. Levi, did you ever go into that Toys R Us?
Yeah, sometimes, but I didn't really have any of those supernatural stuff happen. Maybe just like stuff moving once or twice where I like couldn't find it. I was like, huh, okay. I turn around, then turn back, and it's like, darn it, I really wanted that toy.
Yeah, like,
where'd it go?
I don't think I ever experienced anything in there. I mean, it just felt always very hectic because the million children that were running around.
And the parents that were just like, oh God, help.
Yeah, and us riding the bikes in the hallways.
Yes.
So I think it just felt hectic, but I don't know. I was never in there like at night, or I didn't work there as a teen or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I also don't know any, like none of my friends worked there when we were growing up. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I never really felt like, yeah, like you said, it always felt hectic. Maybe like a little stressful because there was just like a lot going on. But yeah, I never really felt anything like creepy or anything like that. Of course, like I said, I never went to the bathroom, so
yeah,
maybe if I'd gone to the bathroom, maybe I would have experienced something paranormal.
I mean, the Starbucks I worked at growing, like as a teen, that one was definitely haunted. But that's about it.
That sounds pretty creepy.
Yeah. Especially when you're closing. It was creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I never felt anything. So that's why, like, the reason I mentioned that is because I think a lot of the activity happens when the customers aren't there, because you wouldn't know that that's something that's happening, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Like if you put a toy down on a shelf and then you turn around and it's somewhere else, it's easy to just assume someone had picked it up and moved it.
Right, exactly. So,
or you could even just be like, oh, maybe I didn't remember that correctly.
Yeah. So like, for example, coffee bags falling off the shelf by themselves.
Yeah.
It could be multiple different things. It could be that the gas inside the bag expanded and just like over time, just like slowly moved itself off the shelf, but also very creepy when you're alone in the front and the other person closing is in the back. And all of a sudden you have like coffee bags just like falling off shelves by themselves.
You're like, ah, yeah. Okay. Are you talking about the 5-pounders or the 1-pounders?
Both.
Yeah, the 5 pounders, that's scary. Those, like it's not heavy to hold, but you don't want, because it's like above your head. You don't want that falling down onto your face.
Oh no, so those like the 5 pounders was so there were shelves underneath like in between the cabinets that you could pull out for prep. So that's where they would be, and then they like fall off those like prep
shelves. Okay, so it wasn't like falling on you.
No,
that's good.
falling, yeah,
that would have been terrifying.
No, there's cups up there and lids. That's what we kept up there above their heads.
Gotcha.
Give us some more good check.
Anyways, so when I was growing up, I did hear a story. Actually, maybe. So I worked at a Starbucks that was like down the street from that Toys R Us. All of that was cherry orchards. And if I remember correctly, I know where the Starbucks was that used to be owned by the Olsen family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the Toys R Us area was also owned by the Olsen family. It might have been. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised because it is very close.
Yeah, it's literally like 1 block over or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I heard a lot of stories because one of the customers at that Starbucks, his name was Charlie Olsen, and he was part of that Olsen family, and he was still working the orchards that they had left. It wasn't a lot, but they did still have some cherry orchards when I worked there. And so of course everyone like would talk to him and stuff, and we heard like a few stories. Well, one of the stories that a coworker told me, I believe it was at the Starbucks, it might have been when I was in high school, but the story was that there was a guy that had fallen in love with this girl, and I can't remember. I think she wanted to be with him too, but it wasn't like appropriate for them because he was
a farmhand.
Yeah, a farmhand, and she was meant to be with someone with like higher status or something. So anyways, they couldn't be together, and she ended up having to be like married off to someone else, and she was like very depressed about it because she wanted to be with him, and he was really like upset, and he was working by himself and just like, you know, just in his head, and he was using an axe to like chop wood or something, and he like it missed somehow, and he ended up accidentally like slicing his leg, and it was can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so he ended up like slicing his leg and bleeding out because he couldn't, like, I guess get help because he sliced his leg open, and yeah, he ended up dying there, and they think that is who haunts the Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Now REI.
I heard a similar story, but I heard that it was unrequited love, so she was not interested, and she ended up marrying a lawyer, and in his upset, same thing. I also heard another story where he was found with an axe to the neck, but with both things, there was an axe and he bled out. So I'm not sure.
So maybe there's like some like truth to the whole
so
they're bleeding out thing, but it's like the details are kind of like
murky.
Yeah.
Murky waters.
Yeah, the one that I found was just like that he bled to death after a farm incident. So that's all I found right there about that. But one time they actually showed a video that's taken clearly about a young man leaning against the counter with his hands on his pockets. But it didn't show up on another high-speed film taken at the precisely same instant.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It was one infrared shot, but not on a high-speed film.
So he showed up on the infrared camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do remember though. So after I heard about like the Toys R Us ghost, there was an electronics store that had a player piano, and I told all my siblings that it was the ghost that would play the piano.
That's hilarious. That is really funny.
I was like, look, guys, do you guys want to go watch the ghost play the piano? And they're like, no, it's not a ghost. I was like, look, watch, the piano plays by itself.
That's hilarious. That's terrible, but that's hilarious.
I feel like I feel like I would do the same exact thing though.
Yeah, why not? That's part of having siblings. You got to terrify them a little bit sometimes.
Siblings, cousins, yeah, whatever.
Nieces, nephews.
Yep. That's what family's for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so final question for you guys. If you had to sleep overnight in one of these buildings, so either the Winchester Mystery House or the formerly Toys R Us, now REI building, which one would you choose and why?
I think this is Willow. So I think I would choose the Winchester Mystery House. Solely based on curiosity. 1. 2, I don't know, like being in a big building like that in the dark just like would freak me out, like doing the REI Toys R Us building.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a lot more chance of just like a building settling and just like noises that could be totally normal, just like freaking me out. But at least with the house, I'd be able to like wander around and look at different things, you know, and if I didn't feel comfortable in one part of the house and I can move to a different part of the house, I feel like the Toys R Us building it's just a building. Like it's just like a rectangle. There's not much you can do. Like if you feel uncomfortable in one part of the store, it's not that big. It's not like a Walmart.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Levi, what about you?
I think Winchester House because it seems less haunted than the other one.
So you want to go to the less haunted one?
Yeah, I'm like, I'll be sure to go there in the daytime, you know, where there are witnesses, if I ever die in there. But the Winchester House, I'm like, it has 9 different kitchens. You can use any one of those. You can use any single bedroom.
It's true. Yeah,
that's true.
Different ones.
Over 40. Yeah. So many rooms. All the
like
stairs.
You could find one where you barely even have to like move around.
I agree. Yeah. So if I had to choose, I agree with both of you. I would choose the Winchester Mystery House. And it's because I think I would get bored in the Toys R Us building because it's just a building. And like back then they had like, you know, shelves and stuff. So you did kind of have to like navigate like through the store. But now that it's an REI, it's like very big, like open space. There's really like no partitions or anything. The only like quote unquote walls that you'll find are the dressing rooms and the bike area. Yeah, and like that's it. Everything else is just like open space. It's a huge open space. So I think I would probably just get bored. I'd be like, oh, this is creepy. And then after like a couple hours, I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of boring now. I think the Winchester Mystery House would be very interesting. Just like the Winchester Mystery House itself is just very interesting to like look at it, and then being able to be there at night. I'm assuming in this scenario, there's like no tour guide there that's making sure that I stay in one area. I'm free to explore the house. And I think that would be really interesting because I feel like when I did do the tour, we just didn't get to see enough of the house, and there was so much to see in every room to like take in, and you kind of just had to keep moving on because they're guided tours, and so you had to move on to the next space before the tour after you catches up.
Yeah.
And so there's so many people on the tour too. There's like 25 people in each group. So
and some of those rooms are not big, so it's like, yeah, you're just kind of like crowded. You can't really like see everything. And so Yeah, and especially since, like you said, there's like that room was just recently discovered. They didn't know it was there before. It'd be interesting to just be able to explore the house and see like what you can find. And if it is haunted, that would be like the perfect time to like find out. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Winchester Mystery House, I think, would be way more. I would enjoy it more. Yeah. Spending the night there.
And I didn't feel anything like bad in there when I was there. So
yeah, same.
Yeah. I think it'd be totally fine. And I'm very interested about like the greenhouse and the gardens too.
Yeah. But you need to pay for a separate tour of that if you want.
I know.
If you go. Yeah.
That's why
I haven't toured that yet.
You got to get a job there.
Or at least make one of your friends get a job there.
Yeah. Much better.
Yeah. And then, hook it up. Mm-hmm. Levi's like, no comment.
Yeah, friend, not family. You're not making me go.
Yeah. Cool. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, if you guys figure out the real way he died in the Toys R Us one, tell us if you guys have had any experiences with them yourself. Please also do say in the comments. And I hope everyone has a good day.
Yeah, I agree. I hope everyone has an awesome day and don't get haunted.
Yeah, please do not get haunted by the Toys R Us ghost.
Hey, or so they should get haunted by the Winchester Mystery House ghosts?
I'm like, you guys have a really cool house if that happens.
I guess, yeah, if you could afford the construction.
Yeah.
The Winchester Mystery House ghosts are just like, so, can you afford the construction? No. Then you guys have to take out a loan from our stuff. We'll put in just like magic it back to the past, do some like will stuff. There you go. You now have $12 million. Please now work on your house.
So what's interesting is the ghosts of the Winchester Mystery House, it's said to have to be the ghost of people that died from Winchester firearms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, after all these years, I think that would be a lot of spirits haunting you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is too many.
Don't get haunted by Winchester Mystery House ghosts either.
Yeah.
Just get haunted by one.
just by one. Just pick your favorite.
Or just not haunted at all, which would be the best.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Strange, Dark, Unrelated podcast. As Levi mentioned at the beginning, please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below if you have any thoughts on either one of these haunted buildings. And please definitely share your stories. We would love to hear those. All right. Until next time, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.